From our Champion Chevrolet studio, we are in the Legends Bay Lounge, powered by Circus Sports. He is Chris Murray. I'm Mike Stephenson, and this is your 2024-2025 Wolfpack Year in Review show. For the next hour, it is all things silver and blue as we wrap a silver and blue bow on the athletic season, including sit-down interviews with Athletics Director Stephanie Rempe and our NSN Wolfpack Athlete of the Year a little bit later on. Chris, a lot to talk about this season, a lot to boast about in the field of play, but arguably more to be excited about outside of the field of play and what is to come in Wolfpack land.
And that's kind of the main story of college sports nowadays. It's new NCAA rules, it's paying players, it's facilities, it's conference redistribution and realignment. So certainly a lot of those headlines in addition to what Nevada did on the field, in the pool, on the court, and there were a lot of positivities with that.
In previous years, the Wolfpack Year in Review show has sort of went in chronological order. We've started with the fall season, worked our way through winter and spring. We're going to mix it up a little bit this year and start with a slew of the top headlines over the past year plus. Let's dive right into it. And speaking of things to come, it was September of 2023 when we learned the Grand Sierra Resort wanted to invest $1 billion into making it a brand new facility, if you will, including a new arena for Nevada men's basketball. Fast forward to May 7, 2025. It's approved. It's going to happen.
This has probably been the biggest headline in local sports in each of the last 3 seasons, but eventually and finally got to the finish line, got a little bit of public money support in terms of those tax abatements. Overall, going to be $435 million for that arena, going to open in fall of 2027, going to be home of the Nevada men's basketball team, and I think this was a headline that a lot of Wolfpack fans celebrated, and it was long to come. It was a long way in the making, 18 months, but finally did get that approval, and ground has been broken.
We got to learn a lot about TIF funding over the last year. Ton of reporting on all of that at nevadasportsnet.com, but we got to keep it moving. In the 2024 football season, pretty much right off the bat, there was a cloud above it, a conference realignment cloud as the Pac-12 poaches a bunch of Mountain West schools, Nevada not included. 2026, the Mountain West is going to look a lot different, and the Pac-12 has been rebuilt.
So go back to September. This is when this news broke that 4 schools of the Mountain West were moving to the Pac-12. There was eventually a 5th school that was added in Utah State. So you've got Boise State, you've got San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State. The Pac-12 then added Gonzaga. Nevada did not get that invitation, but the Wolfpack does have a home for the future, and I think that was one of the big concerns is if the Mountain West continues to splinter, will Nevada be forced into a lesser conference, maybe even down to the FCS? Did not happen. And I think the positivity and the silver lining is Nevada might be able to be a force in this new Mountain West. It has really struggled to be a championship caliber athletic department in the current Mountain West. And yes, there's going to be some FOMO, fear of missing out, not being in the Pac-12, but I think it is positioned pretty well to become one of the power schools in the new Mountain West starting in 2026.
New Mountain West will include the likes of UC Davis, Grand Canyon, Hawaii's now a full member, UTEP as well. 2026, everything changes. Now in the, again, off the field of play, something that's been talked about for decades and decades will become a reality. This is very recent. The indoor field house has been approved by the Board of Regents. An added student fee will help make this long dreamed of project a reality.
Yeah, $3.50 per credit unit. Adds up to that building right there, a $32 million renovation. Now, this does include a couple of new playing surfaces on the adjacent Wolfpack Park and John Sala Intramural Field, but the majority of this money will be going to that indoor field house, which has been long awaited for, as you mentioned, decades, and that is not hyperbole. They have been working on trying to get this project done for more than 25 years, and those student fees pushed it across the finish line. The Board of Regents agreed in December to allow that student fee, which will be collected this starting August, and ground will be breaking on this project also in the coming months. So 2 gigantic projects, both taking place and taking form at the same time. This one will be done a little bit sooner than GSR Arena. Maybe even more important, though, because of what it will mean not only to Nevada football, but all of the university programs that will be able to take place and practice in that arena.
Excited to see the fundraising continue to rise and maybe a name slapped on it. I'm very curious to see who steps up and how that all comes to fruition. Nonetheless, it is going to happen. All right, now onto the field of play. You know, at the Reno Tahoe International Airport, they have the Wolfpack display. They have the most recent Mountain West Championship trophy, and for a lot of years, it was that 2022 men's tennis Mountain West Championship. They can replace that this year thanks to the spring sports.
Yeah, and softball was the one that took the lead on the 3-year anniversary of that men's Tennis Championship. Victoria Hayward, in her first year as the Nevada softball coach, leads the Wolfpack to a Mountain West Championship. 41 wins overall, but a really dominant season in conference play. 18-4, just 4 losses in 22 games to end the drought and give Stephanie Rempe, the Nevada athletic director, her first Mountain West Championship.
It was a bit poetic to watch it happen on the 3-year anniversary. That team was a ton of fun to cover. And almost just 2 weeks later, the Pack added another trophy to the case as the baseball team got it done. This one felt a little more unlikely, and sure enough, Jake McKinley's squad really honed in on the back half of that Mountain West schedule and celebrated a regular season championship.
And there were expectations for this team in the third year under Jake McKinley. They were picked to finish second in the Mountain West, but they did ascend to that top level. They had to do it on the road, but it was a place that was kind of poetic for Jake McKinley. He ended his first season at San Jose State as Nevada finished in last, and San Jose State got to celebrate on that field because they won the Mountain West title.
Right.
Flash forward a couple of years later, and Jake McKinley has completely rebuilt Nevada baseball to get to the championship level, the 4th Mountain West title in that program's history, tying it with men's basketball for the most since Nevada joined the Mountain West in 2012. A great season on the Diamond Sports for Nevada softball and baseball.
They swept the Diamond Sports, first Mountain West title since 2021, 2 titles for the Wolfpack in a span of 15 days. Speaking of 2, Nevada, one of just a handful of institutions to see players drafted in both the NFL draft and the NBA draft. The Silver and Blue can boast about that forever, starting with, and both a 1-year Wolfpack players, which is the state of the game nowadays. Keaton Crawford came over from Texas, where he was mostly a special teams player, ends up starring at safety in his only year. He's a 7th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, 225 overall. And as you did mention, a lot of people don't like the transfer portal. Well, both of these players we're going to talk about, they spent 4 years at another school, and they finished their career at Nevada. Yep. So the Wolfpack has benefited from the portal in some situations. This guy is an elite athlete. That's why he went to Texas out of high school. This was his first year as a full-time starter, and he really showed the NFL why he deserved an opportunity in that league.
And your other one is Kobe Sanders. After 4 years at Cal Poly, came to Nevada, got on the radar, and he's the 50th overall pick in the NBA draft. He'll play for the Clippers.
Yeah, by way of the Knicks, Spike Lee was briefly excited that the Knicks had got Kobe Sanders before learning a couple seconds later he was actually going to the Clippers, which is a cool destination for the San Diego native. So as you mentioned, Nevada just one of 25 schools to have an NFL draft pick and an NBA draft pick, but one of only 4 at the mid-major level. Wow. You look at UConn, you look at Washington State, Colorado State, and Nevada. It is the 4th time the Wolfpack has had an NFL and NBA draft pick. Really, really cool opportunity. We'll see if they can add an MLB draft pick a little bit later this summer as well.
Maybe it happens. You can't overstate how cool that is, though, here in the meantime. One of the biggest news in terms of a career ending in recent history would be Jin Lee Yu. After 29 epic years leading the really successful Wolfpack dive team, Jin Lee Yu going to call it a career as the head coach, but something tells us she'll still be around the program.
And being replaced by one of her former proteges, Krista Palmer, the Olympic medalist who Jin Lee helped get to the Tokyo Games and win a bronze medal. Probably the most decorated coach in Wolfpack history. Obviously, you got Chris Alt up there, but she's got more than a dozen Coach of the Year conference championship titles individually. She was also the NCAA Diving Coach of the Year in 2016.
No big deal. That was mid-February we learned that. But again, Jin Lee is certainly going to be around the program for the foreseeable future. All right, before we go to break, we're going to count down top 6 moments of the year as we end each segment here on the Wolfpack Year in Review Show. We'll start with number 6, and we go back to October 12th. The Nevada football team getting a big win at home over Mountain West Orphan, Oregon State, if you will. This was a big moment for the program.
It was. Nevada did not win a game after this victory, but this was the high point of the season. It was an offensive explosion, and it was a game Nevada was able to finally close out. The Wolfpack lost a lot of close games. It was able to pull out a close one. In this one, the Keaton Crawford pick 6 and Brendan Lewis's long scamper for a touchdown being highlights.
All right, coming up next year on your Wolfpack Year in Review Show, we'll stay on the gridiron, go a little deeper on Jeff Choate's first season as we hear from the head coach of the Wolfpack and more as the Wolfpack Year in Review Show moves on. Back here on your Wolfpack Year in Review Show, he's Chris, I'm Mike. We just talked about baseball and softball having stellar seasons as Mountain West champions. The revenue sports, though, quote unquote, left a little bit to be desired. We'll start on the gridiron in year 1 of the Jeff Choate era leading Nevada football. It's a 3-10 overall record, 0-7 in the Mountain West. started with an epic opportunity against an SMU team as historically big underdogs. Nevada had a chance to win that game, Chris. Sure enough, that ended up being a theme this season.
I mean, it did sum up the entire year because Nevada was far more competitive on the field than first year under Jeff Choate. The offense was better, the defense was better, the special teams not quite so much. The special teams had some struggles, but it was a team that got more out of the talent. The end game, though, wasn't much different. 2-10, 2-10 under Ken Wilson, 3-10 under Jeff Choate, as Nevada goes 2-6 in one possession game. So in a lot more close games, just couldn't figure out how to finish those games. A close loss at Boise State, which made it to the college football playoff. You mentioned the loss to LSU, or SMU. They made it to the college football playoff as well. So Nevada showed it could play with some of the better teams in the nation, just couldn't finish those off. So the launch that Jeff Choate promised was coming, Nevada, didn't happen in 2024. Maybe it's 2025 where the Wolfpack takes off.
Perhaps a slightly delayed launch as they go back to the drawing board and recalculate a few things, and that is what the offseason has been all about ahead of Choate's second year. I kept saying all year this felt like a cake. You can't have your cake and eat it too kind of season because it's year one. You want to drum up excitement, but you can't win all these games, right? Sure enough, I'm sure Jeff Choate wishes they stacked a couple more dubs. Here is Coach Choate after the final game of the season, which was a loss at UNLV.
Early, I would say we probably exceeded expectations in terms of our competitiveness, and then late, I was disappointed. And a lot of that has to do with things that were not always within our control in terms of maybe the quality of opponents that we're playing and or the available guys that we have on our roster. But I think that there's always a silver lining. Like within the struggles, you have the opportunity to lay yourself bare, and you have to really confront all of the weaknesses and all of the things that the chinks in your armor. And I've got a pretty long list that we're going to have to address.
And that addressing goes on as we speak. All right, so the Wolfpack football season ends. Pack fans may be feeling kind of sour, but they're like, all right, our basketball team's stacked. It's been to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. All right, let's hone in on what's going to go down at Lawler Event Center this year. All right, it was a good start. 6-1 for the men's basketball team, sixth year under head coach Steve Alford, ultimately finishing 17-16 overall and just 8-12 within the Mountain West. There's a lot of different storylines here, but ultimately they did not live up to expectations.
No, and the expectations were big, as they should be, because of how that program is funded. And like you said, it was a great start. They were getting votes in the AP Top 25. And then something happened after that tournament at the Charleston Classic, and they were never able to recover. Steve Alford did give us a little bit of insight on what did happen, which you'll hear from him soon, but it was a very similar story to football, where they just could not win close games. 3-8 in games decided by 2 possessions or less, so that's 6 points or less. So again, playing really well against some of the better teams in the Mountain West, but not being able to finish those off was kind of the story of the season, both in football and then also in men's basketball.
Picked to finish third in the Mountain West. Pack ends up 7th. And yeah, Coach Alford just recently given us a peek behind the curtain to what actually happened.
For whatever reason, from public numbers, not so much from NSN or media, but those NILs getting out caused a big rift, and it took the better part of a month to just kind of try to educate how this works. And I don't think our team handled it well, and then all of a sudden you lose your opener in league play, and then you start 0-4 in league play, and like now you've been smacked pretty good, and we just never recovered. We played basically 500 basketball from there, but I thought our basketball got better. I did think we were better at the end.
Sure enough, Nevada loses a couple All-Mountain West selections. First Kobe Sanders to graduation, then Nick Davidson transfers over to Clemson. New look roster coming, but that was somewhat surprising to learn. Basically, they found out what everyone was making, and they started acting a little different.
That's the new era of college athletics, right? Why is guy next to me making twice as much when I'm out playing him? Or why is guy next to me who transferred in making more when I've been here for 4 or 5 years and I've given blood, sweat, and tears to this program? Not as fun being a college coach these days as it used to be, but you have to adjust, and we'll see if Nevada can adjust moving forward to next season.
Heading into year 7 under Steve Alford. Nevada women's basketball just wrapped up season number 8 under head coach Amanda Levins. This team had pretty high expectations as well, returning a ton of talent, a ton of scoring. Sure enough, just an 11-21 overall record. That includes 6-12 within the Mountain West. They finished 9th in the league.
Yeah, that's the lowest under Amanda Levins' tenure with the Wolfpack, and the top 7 scorers were coming back. That's why there were such high hopes for this program that it could take the next step to be competitive at the top of the conference. Unfortunately, it was unable to do so. Now, there were some injuries with with this program for sure that really left it depleted toward the end of the season, but also they weren't playing great at the beginning of the year as well. So this is a program that had won 20 games in the not so distant past, but now trying to dig out of a big hole. Coach Levin's with 2 more years left on her contract, but I feel like you're going to have to see some progress to see that tenure and that era continue to move forward.
20 or more losses in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Wolfpack women's hoops looking to level up in 25-26. The Nevada women's tennis team certainly leveled up in 24-25. Perhaps the best season in program history. 17 wins are the most. They had the player of the year as well, but did fall short of a championship.
Yeah, 8-2 in the regular season in the Mountain West. That was 1 game behind San Diego State. The Aztecs only lost in conference, did come to the women's tennis team from Nevada as well. I think this was maybe the brightest star shining of the entire Wolfpack season because there weren't a lot of expectations. Yeah, they were returning a lot of players, but you look at the history of Nevada women's tennis in the Mountain West era, not a lot of success. So to be able to see this program blossom like it did in the regular season was great, although in the postseason, a huge upset to Air Force in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament. And unfortunately, that was the same story for baseball and softball as well. The postseason did not treat the Wolfpack very kindly this year.
You saw Mahi Charrier right there. She was your player of the year. She had a heck of a season. Maybe you know each and every year, Chris Murray at NevadaSportsNet.com busts out the red pen and gives each Wolfpack athletics team a grade. We're going to take a look at those grades now, and no surprise to see softball, Chris, women's tennis, and baseball as your top 3 grades. Shout out to women's swim and dive also getting the B. Everyone else, room to improve, that's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, women's swim and dive, they finished 4th in the conference. Women's golf finishes 3rd. I think that was a really good effort from them. Men's tennis almost made it to the Mountain West Championship. They barely lost to nationally ranked Boise State in the semifinals. So like you said, there are certainly some good grades out there for me. Softball, baseball, and women's tennis were really your standout programs. A lot of the other ones, though, they've got to get better in this new Mountain West.
You can see a breakdown of all those grades over at NevadaSportsNet.com as we now take you to our number 5 moment of the 2024-2025 Wolfpack Athletics season. It was on Halloween. Nevada went to UNLV and beat the Rebels to get into the Mountain West tournament. Huge win for the soccer program and head coach Vanessa Valentine.
0-10 all-time at UNLV in women's soccer, so a historic win. And like you said, on top of that, that got them into the Mountain West tournament. They also needed 2 other teams to lose in the final weekend. That did happen. So Wolfpack women's soccer, which hasn't had a ton of success, now back-to-back trips to the Mountain West tournament. We'll see what can happen in Vanessa Valentine's 3rd year, but it does seem like positive momentum with this program.
Things up and up on the pitch. All right, coming up next here on our Wolfpack Year in Review show, we're sitting down with the AD. 3 years in the books for Stephanie Rempe. Shannon Kelly connects with her right after this.
Joined inside of Legacy Hall with Nevada Athletic Director Stephanie Rempe. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having me. I feel like we did this a year ago.
We did, and now another year has come and gone as you just wrapped up your 3rd year leading Nevada Athletics, and what a season it was. Nevada brought home 2 Mountain West championships. Just how proud are you of this entire athletic department as a whole this past year?
It's obviously 3 years, and kind of culminating the end of the season with the success of both our tennis programs and obviously our 2 championships with softball and baseball has been really fun.
From a facility standpoint, there have been a lot of big wins this season. You look at the RSCVA, the indoor track, getting the field house up and off the ground with a groundbreaking soon, and then obviously the GSR Arena taking another step forward as the construction has begun over there. Just when you look at those couple projects in particular, how big are those for the future of Wolfpack athletics?
It's almost like you can't just focus on the vision ahead, because that is super important, without recognizing how far we've come. And a big part of that, and I've talked about it many times with you, is the $28 million worth of projects that we've done over the last 3 years, thanks to President Sandoval, and then obviously our donor support. And then so finishing those up and then focusing on what's next. And everybody knows the field house has been talked about for 25 years, right? Yeah. And so the fact that the ASUN, the student body, supported it, then taking to the Board of Regents to approve that fee, and then most recently, the Board of Regents supporting the financing and the lease agreements, we are now ready to go. And tolls development, as everybody knows, is the reason that this is where it is today. And Tectonics and Plenium are the ones that are going to be building it, designed it and building it So come August, we're going to break ground, and it'll be done in less than a year. It's going to be spectacular, and I think it's going to be really fun to see how that catapults things, because it's a huge statement about athletics, it's a statement about the student body, it's a statement about the university, and it's going to help so many different students, so many of our teams, and we're really, really excited about it. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
A new era of college sports is here once again, as the House versus NCAA settlement is now turned into revenue sharing, and that is allowed, where schools can directly compensate student athletes. And Nevada's goal is to spend about $5 million in that first year between revenue sharing and NIL. Just where do you anticipate some of these funds are going to come from?
So obviously this July 1st is the date that everything changes. And it's funny because it was July 1st, about 4 years ago, when name, image, and likeness became real. There have been so many significant things over the course of time with college athletics, but nothing more significant than July 1st, 2025. The House settlement has a lot of pieces to it. And some people are like, what's the elevator speech? You cannot put it in a minute or two, because there's so many pieces. There's the back pay, and then determining how much of that $2.8 billion goes to which sports and which athletes. It's going forward, the impact on rosters, the impact on financial aid, the impact on being able to share in revenue, the NIL scrutiny that is going to be in place come July 1st, where every single deal over $600 has to be approved by Deloitte, which is a thing called NIL Go. It becomes super complicated. But for us, specifically to what you're talking about, the University of Nevada is able to, as an institution and as an athletics program, pay student athletes. And so July 1st, we will be prepared to do that. We have worked with campus, we've worked with our department, we're working with our coaches to make sure that we are ready and we are able to compete. And the way we're looking at all of the sums of money, it's NIL, which is outside of the university, plus the way that we're able to compensate internally and start to pay our student athletes. And it's also interesting, just the cadence of the way coaches are working on how they're determining the value for different players, how you want to pay things out, and it's different for every sport. That's what's really interesting. Part of it's the level, part of it's the demand of the students, part of it's the culture of that program, who our competitors are. And so, and I think every coach would tell you, nobody's figured it out. It's changing literally day to day on how you want to pay, what's approved through the NIL Glow platform. I think that will also dictate a lot of different things. So a lot of things to be figured out, but we are ready, and we are going to be competing, and we are going to be competitive.
What's your pitch to people, why they should come out to Mackey Stadium this season? If they're on the fence about buying season tickets, why they should secure those deposits?
Well, this is your community, and I firmly believe nothing brings a community together like sports. And obviously you have to win and have success. Well, I believe that we have an absolutely phenomenal coach who fits this community, who is out there doing everything he can to build the brand, to get people involved. Our players, I think they feel really strong about the culture of the team that we have built here for this fall. And as Coach Choate has said, they are going to play hard, they are going to be well coached, and they're going to have a great culture. And so you want to support that, and you want to be part of this community. And if you live here and you care about the University of Nevada and you want to see success, come out and support it.
Aside from the other projects that we've talked about with the GSR and the field house, just what are some of the other facility projects on the horizon for this next year?
Well, the GSR, obviously we didn't talk as much about that. That's a huge win for us and our men's basketball program. And in terms of projects, we have some things going on at Peccoli Park, and then we have planning for some different things. A couple little things at Mackey Stadium. We still have to figure out this indoor tennis thing. Softball lights is a huge one. So I think, obviously, you know this as well as anyone. By winning the Mountain West Conference last spring, we will be able to host the softball Mountain West Championships next spring. We have to have lights. And so we are working very hard to raise, it's going to cost about $1 million to add lights to the field. It's important, our baseball team has lights, our softball team needs lights. They need to be able to have games at night for television or for competition, be able to practice, weather issues, all of those things. It's the right thing to do for our softball team to have lights. And so we're pretty focused on that. We already have a designer that's designing the lights that then will go out to bid. But we need to figure out a way to raise that $1 million for softball.
It'll be the last year of the Mountain West as we currently know it, not to look too far ahead, but just where do you think Nevada will stand in this new Mountain West come 2026?
So I think it would be fair to say that we are super focused on this year, and really focused on the teams that are in the conference this year and how we're going to compete. And then looking forward, the year after that, we will continue to work to be Mountain West champions in everything. I mean, that is a focus no matter who the competition is. And so super focused on this year, and then we'll see after that.
Our thanks to Shannon and Stephanie. You can see that full interview at nevadasportsnet.com. Time now for your number 4 moment of the 24-25 Wolfpack athletic season. January 18th, Scarlett Ferris breaks a nearly quarter-of-a-century-year-old record in the 50 free 22.65.
And that's one of the most fun events when it comes to swimming, because traditionally on an Olympic pool, it's just one way down. Nevada's pool is not quite as long, so it's down and back, and we were able to be there to capture that moment. She had been kind of clawing at that record for a long time, but it had been one of the longest standing records in any history book on the University of Nevada campus, and Scarlett Ferris took it down as just a sophomore.
Part of a great year for the underclassmen. More to come from her. And more to come here on our Wolfpack Year in Review show. Coming up next, we've got a dandy dozen to go over. From 12 to 1, who were your best Wolfpack athletes of the year? We're breaking it all down right after this. Been moving here on your Wolfpack Year in Review show. Each year, Chris Murray compiles his Dandy Dozen, counting down the best Wolfpack athletes of each athletic season. So we're going to do it right now for 2024-2025. Starting with number 12 by way of Spanish Springs High School. A slight detour at Utah State. Haley McLean returned home and did a lot of good things inside the circle.
And this was a great story because we knew how talented she was. It didn't all click at Utah State. She did struggle there in the Mountain West, but coming to Nevada, whatever it was, the Wolfpack got the best out of her. A 2.62 ERA, 17 wins, a couple saves as well. She was as big a reason as anybody, except for maybe somebody later on this list, for why Nevada softball won a Mountain West championship this year.
Number 11, we go to women's golf, and Gabby Cano, who recently played in the U.S. Women's Open. She was also an All-Mountain West selection.
Yeah, so she got to that U.S. Women's Open, which is an LPGA major, by finishing first in a Sacramento qualifier, but she was strong throughout the entire season. A lot of top 10s, including at the Mountain West Championships, but just finishing her junior year and then getting to play on the LPGA in one of the biggest events of the year, that is a super cool way to be able to cap your season.
Number 10 is Emily Rich, who came, saw, and conquered for Wolfpack Soccer out of Course Gold, California.
So this program started for the first time, I guess, in 2000. And for me, she is the best player in program history just based on her college career. 18 goals, 19 assists, 55 points in her college career. All of those first in program history. Super fun to watch as well. She's not the biggest girl out there, but she plays harder than anybody else. And if she was scoring, or anybody on the team was scoring, it was because of her, because she was so influential in setting up her teammates and drawing the defensive attention of the opposition, but still being able to play through that and get Nevada's ball into the back of the net.
Our number 9 athlete has a case to be an all-timer when it's all said and done. Magdalene George, 2 years on the track, a lot of accomplishments.
Yeah, we didn't even mention, but there was a new indoor track that opened in Reno, a $5 million indoor track inside the Reno Sparks Convention Center, and she set 2 records inside of there in the indoor season while winning 2 Mountain West medals. And you go to the outdoor season, 3 more Mountain West medals, so 5 Mountain West individual and relay championship medals for Magdalene George as only a sophomore, and she made it all the way to the NCAA West preliminary, just narrowly missing a chance to compete at nationals.
Wolfpack ski racing was recently resurrected. Number 8 is Ivor Walde-Nace, who has made his mark on the slopes.
Yeah, Nevada skiing finishing 15th in the nation, largely because of Ivor, who finished 12th in slalom, 23rd in giant slalom. Second straight year that he's had a tremendous season. Sometimes easy to overlook those skiers because they're not competing against Mountain West schools, but he has certainly been one of the most accomplished Nevada athletes over the last few seasons.
At number 7, Bailey Hadra took a year off of collegiate competition to pursue an Olympic dream. Back in the pool for Nevada, and all she did was do what she does, win medals.
Yeah, gold in the 1 meter and then silver in the 3 meter and the platform. She was runner-up for Mountain West Diver of the Year. She is competing in the World Championships later this summer as well. She's got 1 year of eligibility remaining. Would not be surprised if the South African does get to compete in the Olympics one day down the road.
Number 6, he's a freshman. Sean Yamaguchi Did not play like a freshman, that's for sure.
Is that usually a taunt? Because it wasn't a taunt for this guy. This guy was a freshman in name only because he played like a senior, hitting .324, leading the Wolfpack in almost every statistical category, including home runs with 13 and total bases with 126. Also tied a Mountain West record for home runs by a freshman in conference games, which had been held for the last 20 years. He is the Fred Flintstone of the Nevada baseball team. Give that man a stick, he's going to swing hard.
The one they call Big Sexy is coming back to Nevada for his sophomore season. Number 5, Yusef Kadiri. We actually did a nice feature story on the Morocco native who led the charge for the men's tennis team.
25 wins in singles, 30 wins in doubles. For the first time in NCAA history, they moved the NCAA tournament from a team sport at the spring to an individual tournament in the fall, and he qualified, the first to individually qualify for an NCAA tournament in program history. Began his career at Oregon and certainly blossomed here with the Wolfpack as a senior.
We just showed you her setting that 50-meter record. Number 4 is Scarlett Ferris, who as a sophomore stacked more medals and has more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, 5 Mountain West championships, both individual and relay, tying Magdalene George for the most of any Wolfpack athlete this year. She qualified for the NCAA championships in a number of events. Unfortunately, she got ill right before that and couldn't compete. Yeah. She did compete as a freshman, but 2 more years to make her mark on the national scene.
Leading the charge for the very successful women's tennis team, again, the player of the year, Amahi Charrier, who we also featured throughout the season.
Yeah, 26 wins this year in singles. That was a program record. She added 14 more in doubles. Very clearly the Mountain West player of the year. She was phenomenal all season, and she's got 1 more year with the Wolfpack.
Certainly one of the best individual moments / performances of the season was what Lily Urban did with the javelin in her hand as she gets all the way to the NCAAs.
Another sophomore. A lot of these ladies, mostly ladies, underclassmen, and having hugely successful seasons, so finishing a second-team All-American, 11th in the nation.
And number 1, maybe no surprise, we go back to the Nevada softball team, the Mountain West Player of the Year, Aaliyah Jenkins. She was worth the price of admission.
Yeah,
and then some.
455 with 17 home runs. She had the best single season in Wolfpack softball history, which for me makes her the best individual player in Wolfpack softball history en route to second-team All-American honors as a catcher.
You said it. Shout out to the ladies. 9 out of the 12 dandy dozen. And as a couple of girl dads, we love to see it. All right, more on the dandy dozen at NevadaSportsNet.com. Your number 3 moment of the season now. We go to Lily Urban, May 29th, clinching that spot at the NCAA Championships. 53.49 meters, arguably one of the best to do it with the jav in the league's history.
Yeah, I mean, she was phenomenal. Set the Nevada record multiple times this year. This was her 3rd and final throw at the NCAA West preliminaries. It needed to be a good one. It was. It moved her to the national championships, where she was just a couple of inches short of being a first-team All-American, but she's got 2 more years to be able to clinch that distinction.
I think she'll be right back in the charge for that in a year. All right, coming up next, we're sitting down with our Wolfpack Athlete of the Year. Who the heck could it be? Yeah, it's Aaliyah Jenkins. Our Zach Larson connects with her as the Wolfpack Year in Review show rolls on.
Thanks, guys. Here at Hickson Park, which was the place to be this past athletic season, I'm joined by catcher Aaliyah Jenkins. Aaliyah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
She's our Wolfpack Athlete of the Year. Aaliyah, take me through your senior year. You broke a couple records for the school. You were named Mountain West Player of the Year and an All-American by D1 Softball. Just can you sum up your last season in silver and blue?
I would say I feel very content after this year, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing for this team and playing with this coaching staff. I learned so much. I learned a lot that I wish I would have learned 3 years ago so that I could just continue to learn in this game. I made some great friendships, and I made great connections with my coaches this year, and it was just an all-around fun year.
You've been here all 4 years. You've seen a lot, but to win a Mountain West title in your final season, what did that mean to you?
It meant everything. I mean, coming into Nevada, I didn't think that it was very possible. When I came in my freshman year, they had just come off of winning 3rd place, I believe, the year before I came in here. And then Josh Taylor left, and I was like, I don't really know how this is gonna go. And after my freshman year, when we didn't have the best season, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna try to build this program as much as possible while I have the time. And every year, we got a little bit better and a little bit better. And 2 years ago, my junior year, when we were like this close to winning it, it was like bittersweet. And I was also playing with some of my best friends that year. But being able to do it this year just like meant everything to me. It's everything that I woke up at 6 a.m. for all 4 years to grind and get to the point where we got this year.
What made this past season's team so special in your eyes?
I think it was just a lot of blind faith at the beginning of the year. Like, everybody knew our coaches were like experienced in the field of softball. They still play. They won before. They won when they played in college. And so, at least for me, I knew that it was blind faith. And I think as the whole group, as a collective, got on that role of like having belief and having faith in our coaching staff, I think it just came together and like we just pushed through it.
3 different coaching staffs or head coaches in your 4 years here. What separated Victoria Hayward from the rest of the head coaches you've been with here?
I think her competitive nature and the way that she portrays it in her coaching, it was a lot different from what I've seen previously. Linda Garza and Marina Demore were both very competitive in this sport, and they love this sport, and they loved the group of girls that they got the chance to get their hands on. But Coach Vic kind of just took everything that she was given and like ran with it and kind of like maneuvered her coaching style around like what this specific group needed, and I think she did an amazing job with us.
Obviously, you were here for 4 years, like I had previously mentioned. What made you want to stay here your whole athletic career?
Yeah, kind of like what I said before about just like knowing that I could be a part of like a growth in this program, and like nothing in my life has ever been like super easy and been handed to me. My recruiting process was a bit shaky, and there was times when I was like, I don't even really know if I want to do softball in college. But being here kind of reminded me after my freshman year, like I did something really cool my freshman year, getting freshman of the year in the Mountain West. And I was like, I'm being seen for the player that I am, but also with the coaching staff that I had previously. Then they saw me for who I was, not only as a player, but as a person. And so it made me want to stay. Also, the connections I built here were so great. And I have friends from my freshman year. I have friends from my sophomore year. I just continue to meet such great people. Academics were going great for me here. Everything was just like perfect for me. And my family lives 3 hours away, and so they were able to make every home game possible. And so it just felt like the right place.
You'll end your career currently as the all-time home run, RBI, total base, slugging percentage leader. What does it mean to be able to cement your legacy into the Nevada record books?
It means a lot. I never came in here thinking that I was going to cement myself in history at this place and be a part of a team that did something that hadn't been done in a long time here. But again, to like know that I left my mark here and I have something to show for it means a lot, because like you always hear the dads and the moms being like, well, I was really good in college and like I was really good in high school, and it's like, okay, but like you guys didn't do anything cool. Like I did something pretty cool here, and like it was a lot of fun.
And how do you plan to still stay with the program after your career?
Yeah, I've luckily been able to stay with the program and do player development here. And just when I talked to Coach Vic about it, because at first I wanted to be a grad assistant and still do school, as the season went further, I was like, I don't really want to do school, and I'm not sure exactly what I want to go into for sure. And I think that sticking around and being a part of this program that I love with everything in me is just going to be so cool. And I get to be with the girls that I just finished an amazing season with, and then bring in some new girls and hopefully influence the culture here to like keep it the same as it was through this past year, and even grow it some more in a way that like we can get there and like not miss that last little piece that we were missing towards the end of the season, and just like push us a little further.
There'll be some big shoes to fill offensively from your side on this team this upcoming season. Is there someone on the current roster you can kind of pinpoint that might be able to step up in the upcoming season?
Haley Painter. Haley Painter is going to get it done this year. This year wasn't her best year that I've ever seen her play softball, but as we know, like she still finds a way to do it, and like maybe it's not the way that she wanted it to happen or wanted to finish this season, but like she's coming back so gritty, so ready to go. And like I know we would have a competition of like a hit for a hit every game, or like just like with the home run record and stuff like that, like she'd be like, oh, where are you at? And I'm like, what are you at? And like it was just that friendly competition, and now I get to watch her flourish and like be a part of her journey from a different side, which will be super cool to do.
Seeing Nevada's name on the first 4 out, how much motivation do you think that gives next year's team?
Oh, as we watched it, obviously together as a team, and it was like dead silent after it was over for like a good 5 minutes. And I was the first person to say something, and I was like, I just hope you guys know that like it doesn't stop here and it doesn't end here. And this is before I knew that I was going to be on the staff, but as like, I hope every day next year, like you guys remember what it feels like right now to see our name right there and not going to Oklahoma or going to Texas or wherever the regional was at. Like, we were that close, and to be that close means a lot, but like it doesn't stop here.
Well, she's Aaliyah Jenkins. She's our Wolfpack Athlete of the Year. You'll see her next year, still here at Hickson, just more on the sideline in the dugout than she was before.
Our thanks to Aaliyah and Zach for that. Here we go, moment number 2 on the softball diamond. Nevada came back from down a lot to rally and shock Utah State in walk-off fashion. This ended up being a huge win when it came to that Mountain West Championship. You saw it live on NSN.
This was the opener in the series, first place on the line. Nevada down 7-1. They score 7 unanswered to win 8-7 on a Lexi O'Gorman hit. One of the great games of 2024-25 for the Wolfpack.
All right, coming up next, your Wolfpack Year in Review show continues as we hand out some awards. Your Wolfpack superlatives are next as we wrap things up. Last line of business here on the Wolfpack Year in Review show, handing out some end-of-season awards. The NSN team bringing our brains together for this one. As we start with your Coach of the Year, in his 3rd season leading Nevada baseball, it is Jake McKinley as they win the regular season for the first time since 2021.
He was the Mountain West Coach of the Year, and I think it was because of the rebuild that he had to undertake. When he inherited this job from TJ Bruce, he joked that he thought the roster was a tennis roster because there was only 6 or 7 guys on it. 3 years later, they're at the top of the Mountain West with him lifting that trophy to give over to the team that he helped build.
Maybe no surprise now as we go to our Team of the Year. We got to give it up to first-year head coach Victoria Hayward and Wolfpack softball, another 40-win season and a first Mountain West championship.
Really, the only disappointing part of the season is they didn't get the chance at the NCAA tournament because they fell in the semifinals of the Mountain West tournament, but a top 40 RPI in the entire nation. I do think you're going to see Victoria Hayward's team in the NCAA tournament pretty soon because she has done a phenomenal job in just really 12 months on the job.
They were one of the first teams out as far as at-large goes at the NCAA tournament. Game of the Year. Well, look away if you're a diehard Wolfpack Nevada men's basketball fan, although it was a heck of an effort inside the pit. Sure enough, New Mexico ends up beating Nevada in shocking fashion, buzzer-beating fashion, but boy, it was a heck of a game.
Yeah, this was a roller coaster of emotions back and forth. Nevada hit some late free throws to bring it to overtime, and then they have the ball down just 10 seconds left. All they got to do is inbound it, hit a couple of free throws. Unfortunately, Kobe Sanders' inbound pass goes awry, and then chaos ensues. Was this a travel? Was it not a travel? The ball ends up in the hands of Nelly Jr. Joseph, and the Wolfpack fans know how it ended. Heartbreak at the pit.
You felt like if Nevada could leave New Mexico with a win, it would really turn the season around. Instead, it was another moment of heartbreak for Pac men's basketball fans, but a heck of a game nonetheless. Diving now into our upset of the year. Shout out to the Wolfpack women's tennis team once again and getting a big win over San Diego State. That is something to certainly be proud of.
And I think that showed that this team was for real, going out beating a top 50 team in the nation, handing the Aztecs their only regular season loss against a Mountain West opponent.
Last line of business, your number 1 moment of the season. May 2nd through 4th, Nevada baseball swept Fresno State. It was a critical sweep, couple of them via walk-off fashion.
Nevada needed a sweep to have any chance of winning the regular season title. They were able to do that. Jake Harvey with the walk-off in the series finale after Nevada scored 4 in the 9th to force extra innings. Jake Harvey with the RBI single to win it in the 10th and complete that sweep.
Sure enough, those two played an epic 14-inning game at the Mountain West Tournament. Bulldogs got that one done. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to our director, Anthony Resnick, our producer, Zach Larson, Shannon Kelly as well. We'll see you in 25-26, y'all.